3D action platformers, especially ones from the PlayStation 2 era, are some of my favorites, and I just got done playing a new game called Effie that reminds me of those games. But is this radical runestone adventure worth going on, or does Effie deserve an F? Effie is a 3D action adventure game that has a very old school feel to it with a sprinkling of new ideas scattered throughout it. In it, you're playing as a hero named Gollin who ends up being cursed by an evil witch and loses his youth, becoming an old man rather early in his life. You go on an adventure to stop the other curses and hopefully be able to get your youth back from this evil witch. This is all done as a big flashback, as you are playing as the main character of Gollin, who's actually telling this story of his adventure to a young child. At its heart, Effie is a 3D platformer that has light puzzle-solving elements and a bit of combat thrown in that isn't too complex. The platforming and controls in general are rather solid, as I had no real problems controlling Gollin at any point. The camera can get in an odd position or two, but thankfully you have full control of it, so usually just maneuvering it a little bit, I was able to see what I needed to, and it really never hindered me or caused me to lose a life. If you do end up dying in the game, you're just reset back to a nearby checkpoint, and there are a plethora of checkpoints scattered throughout, and very little did I have to redo large portions of anything in the game before I reach that next checkpoint. Combat in the game just involves light and heavy attacks. There's about 7 or 8 enemies in total that you'll fight throughout the game. They do have differing attacks, some of them you'll have to hit with only heavy moves, but eventually you end up getting some very powerful special moves that you're able to pull off that really ends up making the combat really easy. You get a boomerang move that pretty much wipes out all the regular enemies in a single hit, and you're able to charge it up at a moment's notice, throwing it out, wiping out all enemies around you very quickly. You also get an earthquake move that takes a bit more of your meter and does significant damage to the heavier enemies, but you combine that with the boomerang and you're wiping out pretty much every enemy encounter in a matter of seconds. You do gain levels throughout the game, but it just seemingly increases your power overall. You don't gain new combos or other new moves. Anything that you gain in the game as far as abilities are all through the story. After completing the opening area, you then get to the open world aspect of Effie. All of the main villages that you're going to be removing the curses from are scattered throughout the open world area, as well as a few little side areas that you're able to complete. One of the cool aspects about the game is the shield, or the runestone that you get early on, which works as your big companion throughout the title. You can actually use it as a hoverboard and fly around the open world area, increasing speed by lots of little speed boosts all throughout. This is actually pretty fun on its own, and you even get a little time trial thing you're able to complete as well. The game has collectibles in the form of these relics that you find scattered throughout each area, and a lot of the little side areas you'll have to complete in order to make sure you get every relic in the game. Be sure though that you don't enter the final area of the game until you've gotten all the collectibles, because once you enter into that, it will auto save you and you won't be able to go back into the open world area. In each area to complete it, you'll be solving a couple of puzzles and finding a variety of keys scattered all throughout. Usually the puzzles involve just light switch puzzles, mimicking different code combinations or pressing the right tiles on the floor. Sometimes the hardest aspect of the game is just finding the different things. Some switches are relatively well hidden. Each area does have a boss encounter, but instead of fighting the boss directly, you're either escaping and running away from the boss's attack, doing some platforming and then hitting a switch. After hitting a certain number of them, you'll finally do damage. Or it's just the boss flying around trying to hurt you, and you have to take on just wave after wave of the regular enemies throughout the game. Honestly, I wish there was more to these boss fights. At least the platforming, though, in general, is quite enjoyable. Jumping, double jumping, and using the dash at the right moments made platforming actually fun to get through each area, and I think some speedrunners will actually enjoy Effie because it gives you those opportunities and some shortcuts once you master the platforming. From the technical side of things, I didn't run into any major glitching. There was some slowdown, some texture popping, and the like, and the game did crash on me on a couple of occasions between areas. I didn't end up losing any progress, thankfully, but just loading between the different areas ended up causing the game to crash. Effie is available now on the PlayStation 4 for $19.99. It'll be coming to PC later on this year. It does feature a Platinum Trophy on the PS4. Overall, Effie is a decent 3D action adventure. I enjoyed it for the most part, though I wish there was some more depth to the combat, I wish there was some more variety when it came to the bosses, and I wish the game was longer. It only took me about 3.5 to 4 hours in order to complete it. I think if you're a fan of the genre, you'll probably end up digging it, but you may want to wait a little bit for a sale. The flaws that it does have, though, didn't hinder my experience that much. I'm going to be giving Effie a 7 out of 10. That's going to wrap up this review though. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.